緊張してる。こんにちは皆さん。私の名前はレイヤサンデスです。私はカリフォルニア州サクラメント出身で、冗談ですよ。I'm just kidding. Hey everyone, my name is Raiah Sanders and I'm a writer from Sacramento, California, currently pursuing screenwriting. And I thought it would be appropriate if I shared my story with you all and what it took for me to get to this point in my life. So let's start with the day I was born. In a newborn screening test, my family found out that I had sickle cell disease. So from a very early age, I had expectations of kind of how long I would be sick and when that would happen and what would happen in the hospital, but that never made the hospitalizations any easier. So I used films as a form of escapism to help me kind of look past my reality and look past the fact that I was sick so often and I couldn't leave the hospital room. It was very intriguing to me to imagine stories happening in other parts of the world, even if it was fiction. But my favorite films were sci-fi. And that's because of my dad and his side of the family all really loved watching sci-fi films and television shows. I have very early and fond memories of us all watching The Fourth Kind in the living room or watching The Time Machine with my grandpa. So sci-fi is definitely my first love. And that's probably why in the 3rd or 4th grade, for a school project when we had to write a story, I wrote a story about a young girl who had metallic-inspired powers because of a failed science experiment. So definitely quintessential comic book stuff. But as I continued growing, I still loved reading and I loved writing, but it wasn't until high school when I was encouraged by my AP English teacher to really pursue this as a career, which is why I achieved my BA in writing from the University of San Francisco while I double minored in Japanese studies and African American studies. And the curriculum was only literary focused, so we couldn't write in any genres. And my inner child was very upset with that, but I learned a lot of critical and vital information during that time. I wrote a lot of nonfiction essays about my own life that are very near and dear to my heart. I wrote a lot of fiction short stories that I really liked. But I still had screenwriting in the back of my head, and in any project where I could write a script, I would try to do that. And even outside of class, I would write scripts with friends. We did a short film for the school, which was really fun. So that was always something that I was very interested in. And in my mind as a college student, the best case scenario for me was to graduate in 2020 and then move to LA to pursue screenwriting, whether that be pursuing higher education or finding a job in the industry. But of course that didn't happen. In 2020, the pandemic made things very hard for a lot of people. But for me personally, my illness just increased in severity. At least once a month, I was either in the hospital or I was in the ER, and I was starting to have daily pain, which is why I seriously sought out CRISPR gene editing clinical trials. And I found one. I found one that I was eligible for, and I enrolled in the trial, being the first and only patient in that trial to this day. So it was very emotional and taxing on me and my family mentally, but it was something that I needed because my quality of life was just starting to diminish greatly, and it's not where I imagined I'd be at that point. So for a year, I prepped for the stem cell transplant that took place in the trial. Once a month, I had to do apheresis, which was a blood exchange. And then when it was time for me to be in the hospital because I was going to be doing chemotherapy for a couple of days, I couldn't leave that hospital room. And because I didn't take so well to the chemotherapy, which we weren't expecting, I did get really sick. I stayed in hospital for about 2 months. And in my mind, even though I was really sick, I was still like, okay, well, I really want to pursue screenwriting once I'm finished with this trial. You know, when I'm out of the hospital, it'll take me about 3 months to recover, and then I can go to LA and do my thing. But the recovery was actually very long. It took me about 1.5 years to recover, and twice a week I needed platelet infusions, I needed blood transfusions still because my body was not making its own blood for a long time. I had to see my doctor a couple times a week, so I was still very heavily monitored and cared for because I was just so sick. But during that time, I still was writing, and I took a master class. I attended events and workshops and one-off screenwriting classes from different companies just to make sure I was exercising that, because it's something that I was really passionate about. But after the 1.5 years, it is getting to where I am right now, where I am able to pursue it, and I'm able to write, and I'm currently writing 3 projects titled The Infinite Realm of Potential, Tokyo Black, and Him. And although sci-fi is my favorite genre, all of these projects are different genres. It just depends on what idea comes to me and how I feel it would be best expressed. And I just want to find people who are interested in Black stories, and I can't wait to network with those people who believe in Black stories and believe they can be more than what has been represented on screen thus far. So I'm here and I'm working and I'm very excited, and that's what I'm doing right now. So thank you so much for stopping by and listening, and can't wait to work. See you guys soon. Bye.